Thursday, May 17th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I'm going to touch up on a subject that I talk a lot about, but I think it's really important, and as I get more and more viewers and more subscribers, I need to keep refreshing on about it. I think it's the most important topic right now. It's not QAnon, it's not geopolitics, it's not Trump, it's not Brexit, it's central banking. Central banking is the biggest instrument of oppression, enslavement, of war, and we really need to get rid of it. We need to go to a free market, rule of law, common law system. We don't need people to control our lives, especially the commodity that is used to indirectly exchange goods, services, and labor. We need to let it be done naturally and organically. And not even, there are some people who criticize central banking. I was just looking at a book that I've read. You know, they get what central banking has done, but then they propose something like state banking. And I'm sorry, don't agree with that either. And that's why as well, I think the blockchain and cryptocurrencies are a real threat to the people who basically have been in power since 1694, I would say, when the monarchy in England gave the Bank of England a royal charter and gave it a monopoly. And I'll show it to you that what we have now, even in the UK, in the US, and everywhere, is not freedom. God is communism, and it's really simple to see it. I'll get to that later. Some of you have said that they don't want to listen to the early market report when I go over where the markets are, but I think a lot of you like that. And I know recently the markets haven't been doing much, so it seems boring, but I'll still go over it. You know, that's what people, that's part of my how can I say, my channel. And the other thing I would say, I am earning more, of course, than I used to through monetization, but I'm getting more and more censored with these kinds of subjects that I think are really important, not just to you, but to everyone else. If you could help donating, it would help the channel. So there's links below in the description if you'd like to donate to the channel. And I appreciate all the people who have. So quickly over the markets. I'm not going to not do the markets. To me right now, the most important thing in these central bank controlled markets is the 10-year yield in the US. It's the price of money. And it's the benchmark price of money for the whole world. I know European rates are not as high, and they're kind of under control, but the 10-year yield right now is at 3.11. So I worked in these markets. That was the whole of my professional life. I covered government bond markets. So in 2 days to go from just below 3% to 3.11 is a big move in the 10 years. So yeah, we're 3.11. We're making a new high today. It's been 3.12. So we're up 2 basis points. And the curve is steepening now, not flattening, because the 2 years at 2.59 right now, which makes it 52, the spread. We were around 42, 44. So the curve is actually steepening. Gold, yeah, 1288.60. Not concerned about it either. I mean, what I'm going to tell you about central banks is going to make you want even more precious metals and silver and even cryptocurrencies. You need to do your homework as well about what the blockchain is and what cryptocurrencies are. And don't trust me. Trust yourself. Do your own homework. Silver did well yesterday, and the low the other day was just below 1620. Right now we're at 1635. So yeah, maybe this is encouraging. I know it's been frustrating. The Dow is down 26, 24,716. Notice how I said a few days ago we needed to get back above 20 5,000. That was like the 50% retracement of the move from the high this year to the low, and we haven't been able to. I'm sure they're trying hard to keep the Dow, elevated despite these yields. They're trying to tell people yields are going up because the economy is doing well, but it's going to be really, 70% of the US economy is based on consumer credit. And if interest rates are going up, everything is going to go up. All the costs of everything is going to make everything more expensive. We're going to have stagflation. The S&P is down 4 points. The NASDAQ is down 1/3%, down 24 points. NASDAQ futures, 100 futures. Currency-wise, the pound is a bit stronger this morning. Actually, it's quite volatile. I haven't seen the headlines, but we got up as high as 135.70 in sterling, and now it's 135.08. So, quite a big move there. So it's only up 20 pips now, but it was up quite a bit more. It was up almost 100 pips earlier. Euro is unchanged, 118.05 against the dollar, and the dollar is a bit stronger against the yen, 110.54, up 0.13%. Crude oil continues to is moving up here. You got crude oil rising, 71.80, it's up 0.5%. So you got oil going up. Maybe the commodities are going to start go up. Maybe that white silver is performing relatively well in relation to gold. So that's it for the market. I'll go now to central banking. Central banking and communism. I think I'm going to go through here. It's from laissez-faire-republic.com. I'll put the link below in the description. And it's the 10 Planks of the Communist Manifesto, 1848, by Karl Heinrich Marx. Good old Karl Marx. Plank number 1, abolition of private property in land and application of all rents of land to public purpose. Wow. There you see why they want to create housing bubbles now, so that people are deprived of all their property and then have to start renting. 2, a heavy, progressive, or graduated income tax. Wow. 16th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, 1913. UK, we have heavy, progressive, graduated income tax. Europe, abolition of all rights of inheritance. Wow. The inheritance tax in the UK, it's really heavy. It doesn't apply to everyone, but we've got that. Confiscation of the property of immigrants and rebels. Number 4. The most important one to our subject today is number 5. Centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and exclusive monopoly. So, man, and it goes to say here, the Federal Reserve System created by the Federal Reserve Act of Congress in 1913 is indeed such a national bank. That's why when people say we need to reform central banks and make it state-run and not owned by the private bankers, I'm sorry, it's all the same thing. It's centralized. We don't need any centralized banking, be it government or private like we do now. It's all not really conducive to freedom and prosperity and justice and peace, I would say. 6, centralization of the means of communication and transportation in the hands of the state. Wow. Fake news, means of communication, transportation. Yeah, we do have, in a lot of countries in Europe, national railroads. Some of them have been privatized, but they're still heavily, regulated by the state. Even in the U.S., the railroads wouldn't have been built if it wasn't for the state. Look at watch the documentary about the West by Robert Redford. The 2 that I think are really important that are present today is number 10 is the free education of all children in government schools. abolition of children's factory labor in its present form. Well, that maybe I agree with, but combination of education with industrial production. So yeah, the education by the government. We have that in the States. They call it public schools. We have that in the UK. That's called state schools. And the kids are brainwashed by the states. They're led to believe they don't look at subjects like central banking. That is not a good thing. Fiat money. So that's just goes to show Communist Manifesto. We thought the West and free markets and freedom won the Cold War, but it doesn't look like it. So what about central banking? Yeah, we need to get away from central banking. How do we do that? Well, I personally think it's through education, through letting people know. That's why I do my videos, but also to how you conduct your affairs. Maybe, not read into, not watch television, not try to be programmed by all the propaganda and all the things you're supposed to do. Oh, I remember in the States in the 80s, there was an advert that said, oh, you can have it all, buy a big house, mortgage yourself. Yeah, live within yourself. Don't, that old saying, never borrow or lender be, is the best policy. And some of you say, oh, but I can't live if I can't buy a place, if I can't, I need a mortgage. Well, I think people need to find ways. I know it's easy for me to say it, but that's all I can say. And what are examples of why are central banks instruments of oppression, war, and inflation? Well, you just have to look at how historically it's happened. The Bank of England, 1694. Before that, you had the Revolution in England, a few years before, and then they brought in the William of Orange from Holland, where they had central banking. A few years later, after he was in power, they get the Bank of England. United States, they tried central banking a couple of times. It was gotten rid of by Andrew Jackson, 1837, and then 1913 they got it back. And what did you get right after that? A war, a major war, and that led to the more and more centralization of the money. Another good example, of course, there's like examples nowadays of Saddam Hussein, who tried to get away from the dollar, Gaddafi. But one that I really find interesting is because where I grew up in Brazil, and I never realized until I started looking into the question of central banking and money, and is in 1964, which was the year I was born, there was a coup d'etat in Brazil. The CIA, of course, was involved. They got rid of a democratically elected president, Goulart, his name was. He was left-wing. Am I a left-winger? No, but all I'm saying is that the Americans didn't like him. So they got rid of him. And I never realized. And then I went to look into the Central Bank of Brazil, Banco Central do Brasil. And guess when it was created by law? Well, December 31st, 1964. So just a few months after they got rid of democracy, well, not democracy, but elected government in Brazil, with the military coup by the CIA, helped by the CIA, they got a new central bank in Brazil. And look what's happened to Brazil since then. I know it wasn't perfect before, but it's in even more and more debt. We've had several currencies since 1964. And Brazil, instead of being a rich, prosperous country, has been a country mismanaged. So there you go. Central banking, yeah, we need to get rid of it. We don't need it. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, Please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit and DTube and on Twitter. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.